Cork, I can't tell you how excited I am to be here as part of this 90th birthday roast. When Carolyn first asked me to do this, I immediately said, can I get back to you? Cork, you may be 90 and some would say you're in the autumn of your life. I think you're more of the day after Christmas year of your life. A lot of your showbiz friends wanted to be here with you to celebrate, but that would involve a very, very long flight to Ecuador or coming back from the dead. Cork, Las Vegas has not been the same without you. In fact, now after 10 years, Ecuador knows what you put Las Vegas through for 50 years. By the way, Carolyn, Cork, your neighbors just want you to know when you're having sex, it sounds like Menopause the musical through the walls. Cork, I do want to say something about your book. My mind is an open mouth. This book during the pandemic, I mean, as we all know, the pandemic was rough on everybody, but this really helped me get through it, especially during the toilet paper shortage. Cork, Vegas would love to have you back, but that would involve Vegas wanting you back. I do want to say happy birthday, and I do look forward to the 100-year birthday roast. These things are every decade. It's amazing, and hopefully our country will still be there, but we know Ecuador will be. Until next time, Cork, you're the best. Bye.
Hey, Cork, buddy Winston here. Your wife Carolyn asked me to roast you, but I'm more of an air fryer kind of guy. I mean, what am I supposed to do? Point out that at 90 you're finally as old as your jokes? I won't do it. I'm not going to do that. I mean, I did see that your wife's book, Help, I Married a Comedian, is in the fiction section now and not for the marriage part. But why point that out? It would be disrespectful. It would be like telling people that not only aren't you a drummer anymore, but you have to take Viagra to beat off. I'm not going to be the one to say that. I mean, I would never say such a thing. But look, not being booked on the comedy club circuit is good for you. It will make you feel like you're 40 again. You know what I mean? Going back. Okay, listen, I'm talking about your career a little. I searched online and apparently I'm the only one. So it's my gift to you. I even Googled Cork Proctor Vegas, and Google asked me if I didn't mean Procter and Gamble. I mean, the nerve of these tech giants, they offer you a Find My Phone app when you already spent half the day looking for your teeth. I mean, what good are they anyway? But really, how can I lambaste you right now? I mean, you have COVID, you're 90, your wife just had a facelift. I don't see the point of cosmetic surgery. She was already beautiful, and soon you won't recognize her anyway. Corky, this is your wife, Carolyn. You remember Carolyn? Oh boy, getting old. But in reality, you were named perfectly. Cork, something you have to remove for people to enjoy a bottle of wine. So you got it right on there. Anyway, but I'm just kidding. Anyway, unlike you, I'm no oral assassin. Although I hear you shoot blanks these days, but no, I mean that was a dumb joke. I mean, I'm talking about a man who broke the rules of comedy by performing jokes that didn't have a punchline. But who cares? You were handsome. And that is what really stood out. I mean, Carolyn still looks forward to your legacy. And by legacy, I mean Social Security benefits. But she deserves them. I mean, she's put up with a lot, right? I mean, you remember back when you once told me that you actually booked talent for hotels. It's kind of like OJ signing people up for the Peace Corps. No, I don't know why I would even say that. You did actually join the Peace Corps. You became a world traveler and moved to the Ecuadorian town of Cuenca, which is Spanish for wanker, but not many people know that, and I have no idea what I'm talking about. I'm just making things up at this point. I'm not a roaster. I just write jokes about the news, and you never made any, so I'm at a loss. I mean, speaking of which, do not worry about dementia and forgetting your act. You're not alone. Everyone's forgotten it already. No, that's not true. I'm sure somebody remembers it. But Cork Proctor, like Rupert Murdoch, you're now in your 90s. But instead of owning Fox, you're married to one. So count your blessings of all the great friends you've made along the way. To us, you will always be a star. From one Ecuadorian resident to another, you put the grin in gringo. Happy 90th, amigo. May you outlive us all. Mwah. That was a roast.
Cork is turning 90 years old. Jesus, I'm so surprised. I always thought he would have been assassinated by some audience member long ago. I'm surprised he made it this long. I guess he just had to leave the country to make sure it didn't happen. Go someplace where they didn't know him. Well, I knew Cork. I met Cork for the first time in Las Vegas. I actually took my father to go see his show. We had just opened up a show at the Dunes Hotel in Las Vegas, and my father was making his first trip to Las Vegas, never been there before, and I said, well, why don't we go over and we'll see this comedian over across the street. So we went across the street, and they sat us right down in front of the stage, right on the lip of the stage, and Cork comes out and does like about 20 minutes of business, and he's like entertaining the crowd and having a good time. And then suddenly he turns to our table and says, ladies and gentlemen, we have kind of a special guest here tonight. He just opened up a show at the Dunes Hotel. It's producer Greg Thompson. And Greg, who have you got with you tonight? And I said, well, Cork, this is my father. This is my dad, Bud Thompson. And he goes, oh, hello, Mr. Thompson. So nice to meet you. And my dad's smiling, and he's thinking, wow, my son's really a big deal in Las Vegas. And then Cork says, Mr. Thompson, do you realize that your son is the largest drug dealer in Las Vegas? And my dad kind of sort of half laughs, not figuring out what's going on. And then Cork says, and he also runs the largest ring of hookers in Las Vegas as well. I hope he hooks you up tonight. And so now my dad's getting a little nervous, and Cork just keeps going. And he just lays it on thick, and my father is like blushing and sort of stuttering around there. And I don't know, it was like a disaster. But I had a few laughs, but I was feeling sorry for my father. And it was right at that moment I said to myself, you know, I don't need to take this kind of abuse. I'm going to hire this guy, and if I'm paying him a salary every week, he probably won't insult me then. Well, I was wrong about that too, but I did hire Cork, and he worked for me for many, many years and did hundreds and hundreds of shows. And he was always the most original. Wasn't always the funniest, because sometimes he'd go out there and just lay a big huge bomb on the audience, but every night he would go out there and he would do a different show. He never did the same show twice, and it was so much fun to watch him because the audience had no idea what was coming, and neither did Cork. So now here he is turning 90 years old, and I'm sure he still has that same cutting edge that he always had. And so, Cork, I'd like to wish you a happy 90th birthday. I'm like 10 years behind you. I'm the same age as Joe Biden, and when I see Joe on TV, I go, I haven't got much time left. This is looking bad. I don't look forward to the next 10 years. In any case, happy birthday. Take care, man. I love you. Bye.
Surprise, 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 happy birthday. What a surprise for me too. Well, as you can see, my sweet Bobby has awakened me, helped me into my wheelchair, propped me up, placed this pen and paper before me, and ordered me to begin to roast Cork. Well, I did jot down a few things here which I will impart to you. Well, to begin with, I have never ever roasted a cork. However, in my short stint as a second chef at Vandecamp's in Beverly Hills restaurant, between my hopefully comedic engagements, I did do some roasting. Let's see, there was roast turkey, roast chicken, and of course, many multiple cuts of prime rib for said roasting. But cork? No. I never ever roasted a cork. But what would my cork roasting entail to make it personal? First, let's say a recent headshot for instant recognition, a couple of burnt corks to use for makeup. After all, I'm told Mr. Proctor will make a short or tall appearance as a latter-day minstrel. Hallelujah! Here comes Sambo. Oops. Cancel culture. I forgot Black Lives Matter, and I'm not prepared for a roast with real fire at hand. Well, back to the old drawing board, which is located on the Las Vegas Strip. It's called the Tropicana Lounge and is just waiting for something sarcastically creative to happen. Let's see now. Dump the burnt cork and get back to politically correct. I'm told that cancel culture still can't get over my offer to give mouth-to-mouth resuscitation to Chris Rock and Dave Chappelle. Excuse my mumbling here. Seems that the cancel culture has no time and no taste for it. Incidentally, are they still allowing Baby It's Cold Outside to be played on the radio? Or is that still considered an ad for date rape? Say what's in this drink? Just asking. Well, I guess all that's left for me to roast as a little cork is to actually roast a cork. But not a little one. Oh, no. We'll use a great, big, talented champagne cork. A special cork that retained all the joyous barbs, slices of the psyche, cranberry cranial juice, and addictive ad-libs that crushed with class any and all who dared darken the path of the one, the only, that Reno renegade, the ever-alive Cork Proctor, the protector of proctology puns. Cork, my dear friend, I shall always cherish the time, the golden hours that I spent with you, sharing our one-sided conversations. It didn't matter that you monopolized the conversations with your speed limit breaking oratory. Let's face it, I really never had anything of importance to say anyway, and it always afforded me the time to hump your leg while you continue to elucidate. Ooh, that felt good. Oops. Again, my time is up. See you next time, I hope. Sweet dreams of Mustang Ranch and the precious time we spent together everywhere. Your pal and close friend forever, or next week, whichever comes first. I love you, Jackie.
Hey Cork, Big Daddy here. Remember when I used to have the Bob's Big Boy hair? It's all different now. Used to have wavy hair, all beaches now. Hey listen, I want to wish you a happy 90th birthday, and remember, Cork, you'll never be as old as your jokes.
All right, here's the story. When we first heard that Cork was relocating to Ecuador, we all pretty much had the same reactions, like, oh boy, great. Here we go. Another one of Cork's foolish fantasies. But hey, this time was different. You know, I could see what he was thinking. He wanted to move away from stand-up, but he didn't really want to leave the industry altogether. So he made the decision to move to South America and reinvent himself as a South American cowboy, a gaucho, at 80 years old. 80. Well, he figured, I guess, that, you know, all those years in Vegas, he'd seen many gaucho acts come and go. He always enjoyed that. He'd also acted for a little bit in Los Angeles, was in a couple of westerns, So why not give it a shot? And that's what he did. Started training. He worked hard. He trained really hard, and believe it or not, he made it happen. He became El Corcho. Corcho is the Spanish translation for cork. So he was El Corcho, the Gringo Gaucho. Yes, he looked the part, always had that gray, beautiful hair. He looked fantastic, had a sombrero, the big boots. He could spin those bolas. He also had a pair of leather chaps. Unfortunately, the bad news, they were cheekless chaps. Cheekless chaps. Yeah, at Cork's insistence, in a Catholic country, a little much to say the least. And for Cork, never a fan of wearing underwear to begin with. This was not a good look, especially when it was out riding the range. I mean, the horse already had a couple of saddlebags, And speaking of horses, that horse, poor thing, actually quit. Yeah, it retired out of sheer embarrassment. Now, when Cork tried to replace that horse by going out and stealing one on his own, he was arrested and locked up. This is all the truth. And in jail, of course, those cheekless chaps were a big hit. To the point where when Carolyn showed up with money for bail, Cork didn't want to leave. He was actually in the process of petitioning the judge to deny bail so he could stick around for a while longer. So, as you can see, professionally things didn't work out, but in the process, Cork fell in love with the land. He really did. The people, the culture, the food. For those of you who know Cork, I mean, this was an entirely new continent of transmission shops that were dying for an elderly gringo to come in and tell their mechanics what they should be doing. The man had found his heaven. And that's the story. That's the true story. Adios, amigos. Muchas gracias to Ecuador for taking El Corcho off our hands. Cork, happy 90th. A young comedian couldn't have had a better friend. Bless you, buddy. See you later.
Hi, I'm Lance Burton. I'm standing in the middle of the Nevada desert, just outside Las Vegas, the magic capital of the world. On a clear day, you can see for 100 miles in every direction. And when you're in a magical place like this, it's a good idea to keep your eyes open at all times. You never know what's going to happen. Come on, let's get started.
Hey Cork, it's your old buddy Lance Burton. I've left Las Vegas. I'm here on the farm in Kentucky, and I just want to wish you a very happy 90th birthday. I love you, pal. I hope you're doing well. Have a great day, and I hope it's a magical birthday for you.
It's Cork's 90th birthday, and I'm Randy Credico, and I'm sitting here with my dog in a hotel room in Washington, D.C., and this is my 50th take, and it's going to be the last one, Cork. It's the last one. I should have just taken the first one because I said some things that, you would have laughed at, and I don't think at my age that I can come up with the same kind of material off the top of my head. And I just want to wish you a happy birthday, Cork. Cork, I've known you since 1975. And when I first saw you, I hated you because you were working at the Union Plaza lounge behind the bar upstairs. And you saw me in this checkered jacket and you spent about 5 minutes slamming, spritzing me, and I was very embarrassed. I said, I hate that guy. But then, of course, within a couple of months, I ended up loving you and following you around, Joe Delaney and Forrest Duke. And then at the great lounge at the Hacienda. All right, the Hacienda, watching you in that lounge there and slamming Paul Loudon and the mob guy. I forgot his name. He looked like Mo Green. This guy's got fucking balls. And so, you know, I love you, brother, but you know, you're responsible for my lack of discipline as a comedian, because I saw you and I said, I want to do that. I want to do what Cork does. Go up there and step on your own dick and slam management, make fun of management, and then get fired. Which, of course, I did for the next 20 years of my life. Whenever I worked somewhere, I would get fired because I would be slamming management. I had no discipline on stage. I tried to emulate you because that's what I wanted to do, is go up there and work off the top of my head. And at the same time, have nothing but disdain for the people that hired me. So I didn't get hired, that often until 1987 or 88, when you hired me at the Gold Coast. I think it's the Gold Coast, whatever that fucking joint was, that open lounge up there when you were the entertainment director, and I had to do like 5 or 6 shows a night in front of the same fucking crowd. But it was a great gig. Probably the best gig that I've had in my years in Las Vegas. I got $1,000 a week, and people started coming around that I owed money to, like Barry Lee, who remembered that 12 years earlier I had borrowed $50 from him and didn't pay it back. But Cork, I love you, and you are really one of the great talents of all time. And I'm just ad-libbing this thing right now, and you keep saying I should come down there, and I should. I think to hang out with you and Carolyn. I know you're still pissed at me that I didn't go to your wedding. I know that. I know you're fucking still pissed at me that I didn't go to your wedding. I think it was 1991. I was in New York, and I was in a relationship with a woman that was breaking up with me. And you know what that's all about, being with a woman that's breaking up with you. And that's all I could think of. So I didn't make it out to your wedding. And I know that Kelly, I forgot his last name right now. I'm getting old, showed up, and everybody else showed up. And I didn't. And you were furious with me. And I said, all right, fuck it, man. I can't go out there. I'm too heartbroken. And you told me that when you had a relationship breakup, that you went to a shrink, and the shrink told you, when you told your sad sack story, he says, you are a fucking asshole. And I went on the floor laughing. One of my favorite moments with you, Cork, was driving from Reno. I don't know where you're working, where I was working, but we were driving down from Reno, and we pulled over to take a piss, and I turned to the right, and I thought there was a fucking Mustang there, a Mustang horse, because there was this like 18-inch joint. You know what? It was you. You were the fucking horse, So, you were like the human Mustang. All right. Well, Carolyn, you know more about that than I do, because you've seen it before many times. I don't know if it's still functioning at this point in time. But I wonder if I'm going to have to do this again. I think you are a beautiful guy, Cork, and I miss you, and I would like to go see you. Uh, and you'll probably live another 30 years. Your dad lived to be 95, 96, and he died, you said, from smoking cigarettes. And so I know you hate cigarettes. You might live to be 125, 130, and I'll be doing this again in 35 fucking years. Um, what can I say? I hope this one works. I love you, Cork. And let's not forget the words of Mike Pintor at the strip joint in Castleberry, Florida, who said, "Go, go," or Chappie. Thank you for that gig, by the way, at that strip joint. The first day that I worked there, I got the clap. Some woman said, "Hi, Randy. Cork said you're a nice guy," and she took me to the room and she gave me a blowjob. And then the next day, there was lipstick on my dressing room window that said, "I'm sorry, Randy. I didn't know I had it." Well, I ascribe that to you, Cork. You're responsible for that. At the Club Wana, it was the Club Wana. See, I could talk forever. Maybe I'll do another one of these. Have a great 90th, and I'll see you, I hope, before your 95th. Goodbye, Cork.
Louis, in the words of the great Louis Nye, hi ho, Corcorino. Yep, your old pal Tony coming to you from the great flyover state of Indiana, the state that brought you Red Skelton, Cole Porter, Hoagie Carmichael, John Cougar Mellencamp, Wes Montgomery, the Checkmates, Steve McQueen, the Reverend Jim Jones, John Dillinger, and of course the late Mike Pence. Wait a minute. No, he got away. Never mind. You know what? For over 3 decades, you've been a friend, a guide, and a mentor, and I appreciate it. I remember my first booking at the Gold Coast. I brought my son with me, and Uncle Cork put the lad on his knee, and you regaled him with stories of how you and Pete Barbuti used to use Sammy Davis Jr. as a lawn jockey. But you know what? You have always been in the forefront of race relations in Nevada. That usually consisted of you going to the sports book and picking up some ethnically androgynous strumpet and having relations with her between horse races. Now, I use the word strumpet because that word would have been in vogue when you booked your first comedy job, which was making balloon animals at U.B. Blake's 5th birthday party. So, a long, illustrious career, and let's not overlook your humanitarian work when you joined the Peace Corps, and after only 3 weeks, the locals were saying, "Dear God, please stop talking, senor. We'd rather drink the dirty water." And one guy, in an effort to escape a Cork Proctor tirade, threw himself in front of a python and was eaten alive. But you know what? It's been a great career. It's been a great life. You're one of the few people who actually managed to piss off every casino executive in the state of Nevada, including the ones you didn't even work for. You opened the door for a lot of comics for cruise ships by being the first and sadly the last comic to work the Lusitania. So here you are, turning 90 years old, but I gotta tell you, you don't look 1 minute over 110. And I wonder how many times you're going to hear that joke. So thank you for all that you have done and given us, and enjoy your retirement there at the Robert Vesco Sunset Condominiums, in a country that I presume does not have an extradition treaty with the United States. And what do you say to a guy who's reached a milestone of 90 years besides, "Hey, wake the fuck up, old man"? I love you, Cork. Happy birthday.
Well, happy birthday, Cork. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Cork. Happy birthday to you. You didn't know I could sing, did you? Hey, I'm calling you from Minnesota, just your old buddy Bob Larson, 90 years old. I can't believe it. I'm so thrilled for you. You're very healthy. You're still sharp and good looking and living the life of Riley. I know that you've influenced my life. You're a very funny man.
Made me feel more comfortable on stage saying what I wanted to say and being more responsive and, well, not responsive. My doctor says I'm pretty responsive now. But being able to be myself on stage and thank you for being the first one to actually bring me to Vegas and perform at the Gold Coast. Staying at old Ed Schofield's place for a week. That was that was fun. But I'll tell you, you, Jeff Wayne, all the great guys that I worked with, and Carolyn, you just changed my life, and I love doing comedy. I'm here in northern Minnesota now. It's haying season, and I haven't done anything for a while, but I did eat breakfast today, so that's good, and I'm going to get my blood checked. But it's just a pleasure and an honor to know a wonderful man like you. 90 more years, and hopefully I'll see you soon. God bless, give my best to Carolyn, and take care. Bye-bye.
Many men have taken the stage before Cork Proctor, and many men will take the stage after Cork Proctor, but none will ever be as unique as Cork Proctor. His ability to hold an audience, his ability to hold onto his hair, his ability to hold and control his sphincter. We had many adventures, Cork and I. He took me up and down the Vegas Strip. The things we saw, some we can never speak of. He introduced me to people who would launch my career into the dumpster. When I first met Cork, I knew he was a man's man. Oh, and I tried, but I could never reach his level of manliness. It was very frustrating. And you know, in fact, I think Cork was single-handedly responsible for the trans trend in America, because so many of us men knew we could never reach his level of manliness that, for instance, myself, I said, well, maybe I'll just consider transition. Sadly, our adventures ended upon Cork's deportation back to his homeland. His visa expired, his green card ran out. The last I heard, he was being held in house arrest by a former Vegas vixen. She's forcing him to write books of fantasy, fiction, fornication. Having said all that, I am a better human being for having crossed the path of the incomparable Cork Proctor. Let me just say, feliz cumpleaños, Corqueo Proctero. Peace out.
Hi, this is Kimberly Richards, and I'm here to say happy 90th birthday to my good buddy, Cork Proctor, whose birthday, July 22nd, is appropriately the feast of Mary Magdalene. Now, Mary Magdalene was not a whore, but what a great gig. You got it, you sell it, you still got it. I met Cork in 1975 in Reno, Nevada, a town Cork said was so close to hell you could see sparks. The show was called Mini Burlesque, starring Cork Proctor and our dearly departed, lovely Sloopy as Top Banana. May she rest in peace. Also starring with Cassandra Lee and two dancers, Donna and myself. We were the Dancing Dolls, or as Cork called us, the Dancing Dolls. Back in 75, we were working in the Silver Dollar Lounge, named because it was so small, about as small as a silver dollar. It was a half circle with a ramp that protruded out into the audience. You could dance up and down. Now, back in 75, Cork looked like he was pregnant with a keg. And on this little tiny lounge that we worked in, there was only one entrance and one exit right in the center of the stage, covered up with just a piece of cloth, no bigger than a regular household doorway. And one night, Cork was watching a dance number from behind the curtain, right, the back of the stage. And when you got off the stage, you either had to turn right or you had to turn left because there was a wall right when you walked out the door. And we didn't know Cork was there. Cork didn't know we were finished. I came dancing off and smack into the wall of Cork, immediately followed by Donna on top of me and Cassandra on top of her. And the three of us bounced off of Cork like we hit a sideways trampoline and flew back out onto stage on our asses. Way to cop a feel, Cork. I did really love listening to Cork's banter every night with such gems as, hey, no, put your foot up there, sir. No, that's fine. No, put the other one up. We'll have the cocktail waitress give you a pap smear. Or, nice jacket, sir. Somewhere in Tonopah, there's a 1957 Chevy with no seat covers. Or, ooh, you are gorgeous, ma'am. If I dream about you tonight, I'm going to send you a check for $50. Or, where are you from? Ah, Wyoming. Yeah, where the men are men and the sheep are delighted. Heard a guy from Wyoming say, you know how to make a U-turn? No, but I can make your eyes water. Or, sit up straight, buddy. You look like you're in a pay toilet in Idaho. Or, oh, you are a very beautiful woman. Want to go half on a baby? Or, where are you from? Oakland. Well, to make you feel at home tonight, I'll have the cops beat the crap out of you. And a decade later, I had a chance to work with Cork again in Las Vegas. It was the 1980s in a show called Cheek to Cheek at the then Marina Casino and Hotel, which is now the MGM Grand, which was the then Bally's, of course, from the then Dunes, which is now Bellagio. Well, you get the picture. And in the 80s, Cork had a great new shtick. He would secretly videotape the audience before the show. Then he'd do a quick edit to highlight the wackier tourists and put them up on the screen with such introductions as, look at this guy, must be from Montana, where the men are men and the sheep are delighted. You know how to make a U-turn? No, but I can make your eyes water. Or, this bozo should sit up straight. He looks like he's in a pay toilet in Utah. Or, check out the Hooters on this dame. Hey, lady, want to go half on a baby? Decades later, still, I got to see Cork again in 2010 at Catch a Rising Star in Reno. The town, Cork said, was so close to hell you could see sparks. It was terrific to see him back on the boards with some very funny new material. Nice jacket, sir. Somewhere in Needles, there's a 97 Chevy with no seat covers. Or, where are you from? LA. Okay, to make you feel at home. We're going to have the cops beat the crap out of you tonight. You are hotness. If I dream about you tonight, I'll send you a check for $500. Cork has been thrown out of more showrooms than most comics ever get to work in a lifetime. He made his living on a cruise ship for a long time as well, till he told a pudgy kid in the front row to lay off the midnight buffet. Way to make friends, Cork. Congratulations on 90 terrific years. It's your special day. Relax, sit back, put your feet up. Yeah, go ahead, put them both up. We'll have the cocktail waitress give you a pap smear. Happy birthday, Cork. Love you. Kim Richards saying hi and bye.
Anybody ever had lunch or dinner with Cork? That's always a great time. Always some great stories, always great conversation. If the music's a little too loud, he lets them know it. If the kids are a little too loud, he lets them know it too. Young man, come over here for a minute. We came in here to talk, to enjoy ourselves, but the music's too loud. Can you lower the music? Oh, yes, sir, right away. Well, Cork and I are having lunch one time, and there's a young kid over on the side, and pretty loud, granted pretty obnoxious too. And Cork looked over a couple times and gave the easy sign, and then batted out, "Hey, I came here for the food, not for the crying kid." And on we went with our meal and our conversation. It's just another day in the world of Cork Proctor. And there'll always be a soft spot in my heart for Cork. Well, Cork concocted a great plan. Pookie hadn't driven in the United States. She was pretty well versed in Thailand. The big difference was Thailand, they drive on the left side of the road. In America, we drive on the right. So Cork said, "Okay, Pookie, we need to go first thing in the morning to McDonald's." And Pookie said, "Well, why McDonald's?" He says, "Because we'll get a cup of coffee and we'll watch the flow of traffic." That's right, folks. Watch the flow of traffic. Weeks on end, my wife went to McDonald's at 6 in the morning and watched the lights change, the cars stop, people turn right, people turn left. And every day, Cork quizzed her, "Did you get that, Pookie? Do you understand what's going on? That's how we drive here in America. Needless to say, Pookie was in tears when I was leaving. Please don't leave me with Cork. He's going to take me to McDonald's. He's going to make me watch the traffic. I can't take it anymore. And then there was parallel parking. Now, those who know Cork and remember the ranch, they remember the long driveway to the barn. Well, Cork always had a couple extra cars sitting around. They were usually El Caminos. But he set up the cars, spaced them out. Yes, sir. Up in the morning, bright and early, in the desert heat, Pookie and Cork on the driveway, in and out, back and forth, forward and back. She can parallel park like nobody. I'd put her up against anybody these days. Cork and Carolyn joined us on a trip to Thailand. I promised my Thai family that we would come back and do a full Thai Buddhist wedding, which is what the purpose of the trip was. We had such a great time in the 3 weeks that we were together. So Cork and my brother and I, we go to the bathroom, and this is Cork's introduction to squat toilets. Paula, Cork, and I would always be the last back in the van. We'd let the girls all load back up and bring their food and whatever. So we would stand outside, and Cork would look at the tires and kick them and say, "Do you think we're going to make it?" "What do you mean, Cork? Do you think we're going to make it?" He says, "I think the tires are pretty worn here." I said, "Cork, the tires are fine." Pick the tire again and say, "I hope we make it." So we have about a 3.5 hour journey to the boat dock where we're going to catch a ferry over to the island where we're going to stay for the New Year holiday. So about 30-45 minutes into this trip, we have to stop and use the facilities and, load up on snacks. Well, Cork had the seat right behind the driver, and he entertained us with a minute-by-minute narration of how fast we were going all the way back to Bangkok. 3 hours. Every time we broke 60 kilometers, slow down, we're not in a hurry, you've got the job. All the one-liners that Cork's so famous for just went on and on and on. First stop, second stop, kick the tires. Do you think we're going to make it? We're going to be okay, Cork. I'm worried. What are you worried about, Cork? The tires look worn. Cork, we're fine. Same van, same driver, we're good. Well, do you think he could let it go? Oh no, not Cork Proctor. He was now worried that we were going to have a blowout. For some reason, the tires had degraded that much more, and he thought we were going to have a blowout. So, speed limit in Thailand, 120 kilometers. Speed limit in our van, 60. Well, Cork freaked out, and Cork just kept saying, "Slow down, wait, do you know where you're going? Do you understand the word tip?" No, Cork, he doesn't. He speaks Thai. So at the end of our meal during our reception, there's a time when the microphone is passed around for anyone that wants to wish us well, good blessings. They went through and it went around, and it came to our table, and my brother stood up and talked on our family's behalf and said some great things, and what's coming next. So my brother passed on the microphone to Cork. Well, Cork doesn't speak Thai, and not many of my wife's relatives spoke English. So my brother-in-law, who speaks excellent English, did translation and represented Cork very well. So Cork starts, and he's roasting me a little bit and getting into his shtick. Everybody knows how Cork does things. And it was really good, it was funny, and it was entertaining. Only problem was, shtick doesn't translate from English to Thai. So my brother-in-law did what any good comedian or entertainer would do. He ad-libbed. So by the end of Cork's dissertation, everybody had a smile on their face. Because even though Cork was doing shtick, it translated into, "You are the most amazing people. I love Thailand. We've enjoyed every minute of our trip. We feel lucky to have been here. And how happy we are to meet you all. Cork, thank you very much." That translation that Mink did, you couldn't have made me and Pookie look better. We didn't lose face. We were on top of the world. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
All right, Cork, happy birthday. I can't believe you're 90. Used to hang out at the hacienda when you were like 40. Trail tarts, meadow muffins, and corral cookies. This is an old joke, but this is an old crowd.
poem for Cork Proctor. Happy birthday. Cork came into this world 90 years ago today. To join in on a roast, I must have something bad to say. Depression years burn like a branding iron on the soul. All they leave is shattered lives that spin out of control. Laughter fills the void of hunger, eases all the pain. You lived by laughter all those years to keep from going insane. The lights of Tinseltown were brighter when you had your day. The glitter and the glamour along with water drained away. You moved away up high to the land of waterfalls. You hear the monkeys chatter and you hear the parrots call. But really it was Carolyn, as far as I can tell, who led the way to paradise and far away from hell. I think it was the laughter along with your love for a girl that helped you live for 90 years in a hungry world. Happy birthday, Cork.